Welcome to the Shootie School live stream, live once a month, the first Saturday of every month. Today, we're going to talk about one-shots. We're going to define them. We're going to check out a cool, inexpensive product that's come out just in time for the holidays about one-shots. It's not required for this episode at all. It's just a cool, Christmas purchase. We're going to talk to Ken Shaulk about that product and about using one-shots, which will take about 5 minutes. Quick interview with Ken Shaulk, the drummer, former drummer at 𝗘𝗫𝗖𝗓 and Fuel. Never mind an amazing career history. And then we're going to open up 𝗪𝗫𝗓, figure out how to use one-shots. In 𝗪𝗫𝗓, we're going to replace, we're going to blend, we're going to stack. We're going to do a bunch of cool stuff in 𝗪𝗫𝗓. When we're done with 𝗪𝗫𝗓, we're going to take a look at EZDrummer 3 and go, how the heck can we get EZDrummer 3 to do what 𝗪𝗫𝗓 3 can natively do? So it'll be a bunch of cool workarounds and tricks that we'll learn in EZDrummer 3 as well today. So if you're not watching live and you're watching the restream, go ahead and fast forward about 5 or 6 minutes. Otherwise, let me know where you're from and we'll get this stream started real soon.
It's Sean from Shootie School. I just released my EZDrummer 3's Drums Tab course. It's a full curriculum for beginners just starting out all the way to advanced users. From simply defining features to advanced workflows so you can get your own custom drum tones from Toontrack's EZDrummer 3. There's 15 videos, over 2 hours of content. I zoom in and out of the screen so you can see the details in smaller text, and I'm on screen with you while you watch the course. So there is a presence of energy, momentum, and encouragement. Check out the reviews at ShootieSchool.com and consider picking up Shootie School's Drums Tab course and bring your EZDrummer 3 skills to the next level. Check out a free video from the course. The link is down there in the description, or come over to my YouTube channel, Shootie School, to get a vibe of my teaching and production styles. Rock on. If you're not watching live, waiting for this stream to start, and you're watching the restream, go ahead and fast forward to the 5-minute mark where I start the show. But before you do, here's some resources where you can go to get support or socialize about Toontrack stuff. On Facebook, there's the Toontrack users group. It's a great community. J-Rock over there is great with keeping up to date on Toontrack's press releases and product announcements. There's also the Toontrack EZDrummer group on Facebook. It's EZDrummer only, and it's a fantastic place for beginners to go. Or if you want to hang out with me and get my support, I have the Shootie School's Toontrack Speak Easy Facebook group. I show up there once a day. I provide support and socialize, and I also have a Discord server. Besides that, I do have a members program. There's 2 paid tiers. They're both really inexpensive, where you can see either pre-release content or get exclusive content and support from me personally. Also keep in mind, the first Saturday of every month, I do this stream live. So subscribe so you can get into the chat. You can shoot questions at me. Sometimes the users in the chat dictate what happens in the stream. Sometimes I have some prepared content. Anything goes, anything can happen. So hang out for another moment or two and we'll get this stream started.
Everybody, Sean here from Shootie School. It's the first Saturday of December. Welcome. Thanks for coming in and lighting up the chat, you guys. I've got plenty of regulars. David, what's up, brother? Braxel, you might be happy today because I'm actually going to do some superior stuff today, so hope you dig it. Robert, what's up, dude? I don't know if I've seen you in a stream yet. Thanks for coming into the chat. Off-grid guitarist. Anthony, do I recognize his name? Maybe Anthony's memory can help me out a little bit.
I mean, maybe. We get a lot of people with guitarist in their name, so I don't know.
I don't know if it's your first time here off-grid, but what's up, dude? Welcome. Off-grid. Are you truly off-grid, man? What are you using for water filters out there? I got Berkey in the kitchen, but what's that? I like to have some Sawyer filters in case the S goes down. Watching my language. Paul, what's up, dude? Look at Paul's rank, dude. Thank you so much for being a member. If you see those ranks, those are my members. It's either $2 or $5 a month they're paying for extra content. Speaking of that, Anthony, maybe you can help me figure out this stuff, man. I was thinking about these streams that I do once a month. I'll stream public just like I am, and I'll leave it public for a month. And then maybe after 1 month, I'll take that stream and make it members only because I don't know, it's just a lot of content there, and I want to juice up my perps for members. I don't know, you think that's reasonable to do, or what do you think, Anthony? My voice of reasoning.
I think that if we're going to be doing something like that, we may as well just keep the public stream public and then maybe do like a short members only stream. Just a thought.
I don't know, would my members come to a members only stream as well? Do you want that much content? Appreciate you chiming in, Anthony. Post in the chat or post down below if you're not watching live. Thank you, Off-Grid. The channel's awesome. I'm catching up in chat, as you can see. Ken, what's up, dude? We're going to be talking about that guy today. John, you said you can't be here. All right, he is still telling me that. I can't be there, but I'm sure it'll be a great session. Oh, you came in just to give me money, man. Gosh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's funny. I have some regulars that literally email me and say, I can't make the stream. It's awesome. John was one. Peaches has a gig today, so she's out jamming somewhere. So, man, I just appreciate the community so much. David, look forward to seeing you soon. Mark from England, thank you for coming in. Blummus 2000. Anthony, that's a new name too, I think. Bro, I recently. Awesome. Thank you very much.
That is your name, actually.
Yeah. Welcome to the stream, Blummus. Appreciate you seeing. Off-Grid, thanks for confirmation. Righteous. All right, what are we doing today? Actually, I already said it in the intro. I'm going to try and redo my stream intros a little bit. So right up front, we kind of have an idea of what's going on today so I can hop in a little bit faster. And what are one-shots? One-shots are audio files. Turn down the music a little bit. Got a grounding hum? No, there's something on in my room, but I'm not going to chase it down. It's right down there and close to the sub frequencies. But anyway, what are one-shots? One-shots are audio files. Actually, that's all they are. They're just audio files. How we normally use them is they're probably short staccato audio files. And since we're talking about drums today, it's what you use to replace a drum sound. We use EZDrummer and we use Superior Drummer mostly here at Shootie School, probably mostly for the people that show up and watch in the stream. And you can do quite a few things with them. You can replace a drum with the one-shot, so you no longer hear the instrument of the tune track product. Now you hear the one-shot sound of a snare drum, for example. That's what we're doing today. Got to remember to breathe while I talk. And what more so we can do, which I'm more interested in, we're going to do all this today, is blending one-shots. For example, a snare one-shot that someone recorded on their own, gave me the audio file of just a snare. I want to blend that with my tune track snare and create our own custom snare sounds. Tune track's amazing. The majority, actually not the majority of the time, a lot of the time I just use whatever the preset snare sounds like in Superior or Easy, but but how do you make that your own besides turning it up or down and tuning it and maybe EQing a little bit? Like, how do you really make that your own? Well, you combine it with other audio files and just really tweak it. So that's fantastic. So you can do drum replacement. You can do blending. And lastly, just as a little bonus, this is a trick I like to do, is I'll only blend during certain sections of a song to emphasize that section of the song. And now 𝗪𝗓𝗪 3 does all this natively, so we'll fly through it and we'll see the amazing 𝗪𝗓𝗪 in this. EZDrummer 3 does not do a lot of this natively, but because most of us are in a DAW, probably the absolute majority. Does that make sense, Anthony? If I say absolute and then say...
You're making sense, I promise.
Yeah, but is that politically correct? Anthony's way better at English than I am, even though it's the only language I know. Can you say absolute? Can you say it like that? Absolute majority?
Absolute majority, yes, technically, but it's kind of a redundant thing.
The high majority? All right, you guys get it. Gosh, I actually threw myself off. Regardless, we're going to grab... Oh, absolute majority of us are using DAWs, so as long as we have a DAW and EZDrummer 3, we can make it do what 𝗪𝗓𝗪 3 does. Yet, you know, I like having both programs, so I don't have to make that sacrifice. But if you only have EZDrummer 3, you'll be able to kick butt throughout this whole thing. Dirk, is Dirk a regular? Dirk, thank you so much, man. I know SAK.
20 krona.
SEK is from Sweden, I believe. So, Dirk, thank you so much. I feel like you've been here before. Comment below if you're a regular or if you're just coming back. I use Ableton 12, EZDrummer 3. Can I fade EZDrummer 3 track via... I'm not sure exactly what you mean by fade the track, but you can write automation in Ableton, which volume is the easiest, best example of that. So you can automate the volume of EZDrummer 3's track if you wish. The metal pack for EZDrummer 3 sounds good. If you're talking about the most recent, I did a review for it, definitely. Thunder, what's up, dude? Awesome. Thanks so much for coming. Oh, dude, we got a good number right out of the gate, so let me just get to it. Anyway, where do you get one-shots? I actually have a video, which I'll post in the chat in a minute, where I went crazy with one-shots and answered a lot of general questions. Today, we're going to be more focused and actually get the work done instead of talking about it. Now, you don't need a product that a fantastic career drummer made named Ken Shaulk. He made a product called $10 shots, so the product's only $10. It's a great way just to get into one-shots, especially for the snare drum. You don't need that product for this. In fact, even if you're not doing one-shot stuff, this is still going to be a great video for you just to see the capability of these programs and of your DAW. But I did a short 5-minute long interview where not only do we talk about his inexpensive $10 one-shot product, but we talk about one-shots in general. It'll be a great primer before we get today started. So, let me see here. Let's talk with Ken Shaulk about the $10 shots deal, which is just a collection of one-shots, fantastic to get you started. And then we're going to hop right into 𝗪𝗓𝗪 and start trailblazing. Thanks all so much for coming in. And I saw Ken in the comments, so it's awesome to be watched by a guy I look up to so much. And he's a killer drummer. Why is he I forget if he answers this question, but why is he the guy that make a product like this? Well, he's been around for a long time, touring drummer, studio drummer, professional drum tech and audio engineer. Why would you want anyone else doing it? So let's get started. All right, we have Ken Shaulk with his new $10 shots product. And Ken, help me walk through like the README file that comes with this, just so I don't have to spend 20 minutes on it. We know who you are, most badass drummer, but this product's called Snare Shots. It says it has 60 premium snare drum one-shots. Can you just kind of walk me through what's inside of this package if someone decides to purchase it?
This product actually comes with 80 one-shots. There's an additional 20 under snare one-shots. We could talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's 60 premium one-shots. There's one folder that has 40, and those 40 one-shots are broken down into 2 different categories. There's one category called neat, which is 20 singular one-shots set up as just an under snare and a top snare sound. Very organic, very dry, very monophonic, very usable. Then on the other side, we have another folder with those same 20 singular one-shots, but they've been enhanced sonically to be more wide, more stereophonic by adding 2 overheads and a monophonic room mic. This gives a much more produced and finalized sound to the snare drum, something maybe an electronic drum set player could use. Whereas in the neat folder, that's something maybe like a producer or a songwriter could use.
Very cool.
If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the names of them. All the names are pretty much sonically appropriate. So whatever you see as the name, you could almost expect that the snare sound will have some kind of connectivity to that name. And then if you go down another page, there's another folder of 20 one-shots, 20 singular one-shots, and that's called Bartender Specials. So I took snare samples in their natural form, but then I produced them a little more. So these would be more finalized samples that you could use either in specialized moments in a song to bring a different sonic quality to the snare sound, or just something where you want to experiment in a song and try a different snare sound. Some of the sounds are retrospective to popular songs we've heard in the past. Other sounds are just very strange or unique, and the name will kind of like tell you
I see
what you're going to expect.
Danger Zone's right there. Is that what I think it is?
That is, Danger Zone is from the song Highway to the Danger Zone, the Kenny Loggins song.
All right.
The snare drum sound, it sounds almost identical to that snare sound from that song, yeah.
All right, but not all these are after songs. Like some of them are just descriptive names, like Popcorn, for example.
Yeah, Popcorn I wound up naming because it's a very cut off type of poppy sound. And if you keep hitting it over and over again, it sounds like a bunch of popcorn popping.
All right, very cool. All right, what about, look, there's even another bonus folder. What is this real quick?
So yeah, I insisted on the undersnare folder. It wasn't originally in the product, but I told him at the company, I said, listen, undersnares are a very important part of the landscape. Lots of people are recording drums with less inputs than they can to use an undersnare. You got a lot of people recording drums who don't know either how to get a good undersnare sound, meaning they don't know how to tune the snare drum in a way so that it sounds great. So a lot of people might have issues where they want more snap, more zhuzh out of their snare drum, but they can't get it. So if you just add an undersnare layer to that, that helps bring that out.
I like, with my TuneTrack products, which I'm about to go into a stream for, I like doing blending, and I was just going to blend your regular one-shots with the samples I have in my TuneTrack stuff, but I'm actually now more excited that you just added this. I'm just seeing it for the first time right now. The undersnares, that seems like more fun to blend, so we'll give that
it's hilarious. It's almost hilariously awesome, because I did a YouTube video for the $10 Shots company, and if anybody wants to go check it out, and I showcase how me recording drums with just a top snare and then adding the undersnare sample, it's amazing, the sonic difference.
Awesome. All right, I'll link to that. So check the description of the video and I'll link to that, or in the live chat. So real quick, Ken, because I want to get my show started, why are you doing this one-shot package for people like me? Why you?
Well, I've been doing drums forever and recording drums, playing drums. I've got tons of snare drums. And I said, yo, let's get more snare drums out there. This is not a dying market. I mean, there's going to be 12-year-olds now that'll be 15 in 3 years. They're going to need snare shots. They're going to need drum shots. Like, the sample market is never ending now.
And you can always blend something from like Ken's snare collection into whatever your VST, virtual instrument, sampler is, and just blend them together, and you can endlessly create new snare sounds, which is what we're going to do today.
I'm not greedy. I'm not trying to take over the market. I'm trying to be a helpful addition to it. And like you just said, you take one of my snares, blend it with a David Bendeth one-shot, and bam, you have a whole new snare drum sound,
Even though this is a big collection, do you have one or two samples that were your favorite, or maybe you just have a quick story about?
Danger Zone is a fun one. Yeah. That is a fun snare sound. The Bartender Special snares are fun because they were more creatively built with extra effects and stuff. But I'd say in the natural snare drum folder, there's probably, I'd say, Dry Cough is interesting. Gut Punch is nice.
I only browsed through your product quickly, but Dry Cough is the one I ended up using to figure out what I was going to do on the stream today. But let me just hear Danger Zone real quick. Oh, yeah, dude. Top Gun, baby.
Yep.
Anything else, Ken?
Stuart Scottish Lake. If anybody's familiar with the Police Synchronicity album, the song Synchronicity 2, when I worked on this snare drum and started getting the sound designed, I was like, oh, this is starting to sound like 𝗘𝗫𝗡𝗧𝗏 snare drum from that song. So
Yeah, it's got a high-pitched bong to it, man.
yeah, strangely enough, 𝗘𝗫𝗡𝗧𝗏, who's known for using a metal snare drum, I don't know what he used on the song Synchronicity 2, but it's a little bit warmer of a tone than his normal tone. And it had like this vibe, and that snare drum sound, I was just like, oh, it sounds like it. So
Ken, the product's only $10. If someone's interested, where do they go?
So they go to prushmusic.com, prushmusic.com, hit the store tab above at the menu, and it'll go right to the Snare Shots page where you could purchase it for just $10 plus tax.
Sweet, and I'll put the links down in the description and in the live
Awesome.
chat. Dude, will you come back on a live stream just to talk drums with me again soon?
Always, bro. You know I love hanging out with you, man.
All right, rock on, buddy. Take care.
All right, dude.
All right. Anthony, if I forget to do my intro with these tabs up here, do remind me, and I'm going to do it lightning fast. Of course, you might forget as well. Check out ShootieSchool.com. The best way to support me is to pick up my course. That puts cash in my pocket. It buys food for my kid and my girl. And, the least amount of piece of the pie is taken out of that. So if you want to support me, you also get a kick-ass, long-ass course to learn about EZDrummer 3. If you ever, check out my Shootie School Speak Easy Facebook group for support. Check out my Discord group for support, which is, actually up to date. And if you ever hear me talking to someone, which you did it quite a bit today, check out Anthony the Sind Knight. Do hop over to his Facebook page. He really, let's see, Anthony.
Double swear jar.
What did I say? I don't even remember. I don't even remember what swear I said. Excuse me. The household's a little bit sick. Double, that was 2. All right, so my drums tab course is going to be $2 off after this stream. I think it's already $1 or $2 off from me swearing last month. The swear jar means my products get discounted. So speaking of that product I was just pointing out, now it's $2 off. Dude, I had a crazy, November was such a huge month for me due to Toontrack's Metal Month. Also feeds my ego a little bit. I don't even know if we can enter the page anymore. You see my smiling face on there. I had like 6 or 7 videos out last month. It's been a hustle, guys. And one more thing is today, I'm getting back to one-shots. We're starting the stream. When you get like a bulk of one-shots, and one-shots are audio files, you need a way to organize them and listen to them quickly, or you're just going to open up a Finder or an Explorer window and you're going to be double clicking on stuff just to hear it or whatever. I use ADSR, no affiliation, it's free. I use ADSR, and what you kind of saw me using it a little bit in that interview with Ken, that's what I'm going to use today. And you can just navigate the folders fast and play files insanely fast. And it does a lot more than that. You can actually edit your audio files before you bring them into your DAW to use them. So check it out. Waves, I don't know if Edgar's here. Edgar, if you're here, say hi. I don't know if Edgar's here, but Waves used to have a free one that did the same thing, but it's not free anymore, so that's why I'm not recommending it. Waves, yeah. And I forget what it's called, but if Edgar's here, do name drop that, because I wish I picked it up when it was free. So anyway, you're going to see me using the program ADSR. And actually, let me go back to chat just for 2 seconds before we get started. I know Dirk responded. Dirk, Hilmodu, I'm totally butchering my Swedish greeting. I know you've contributed to me in the past. Thank you so much, man. Shining's pointing out some free one-shots. Jeffrey, welcome, dude. That is a great video, man. Check out my humanization track. You can just go to my channel and type human and it'll probably come up. Allegon, yeah, hop on board, man. This is a good product for the price, man. It's killer. And it sports someone very similar to me. $10 is not a big profit since there's partners over there with $10 shots, but it's actually going to put food in people's bellies, not buy Lamborghinis for anybody. Awesome. Scott, all right. I wish there was word on SD4. Only Superior Drummer 3 and Easy Bass are left to be upgraded, so it's going to be one of the other first. My prediction is SD4 because that's the flagship, that's the moneymaker, but we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. No, I'm not going to swear 20 times on purpose because I want to make a few dollars off my course. I mean, it's really a big deal for me to make money. So anyway, let's hop over to Superior. Let me kill the music. And I'm also going to launch ADSR Sample Manager right alongside of it. Guess I just have to launch it first. I've been using this program for years and it works great. I did purchase the $10 shots, the Ken Shaulk product. And let's look real quick right here. I know Anthony plugged it, but I might pop out in chat a little bit better. The $10 shots deal is here, just so it pokes out a little bit better. So I clicked on that link. I bought it for 10 bucks. I downloaded a folder. I installed that folder somewhere particular on my hard drive for my workflow. I have a particular hard drive just for samples. And then I added that folder into that free ADSR program. And here's that folder. Actually, I created the Ken Shaulk folder because, you know, I just need his name on my hard drive. But inside there, as maybe I won't spend too long explaining it because I think Ken just did in that intro video. But we have bartender specials, which are more heavily affected snare shots. We have neat, which is more dry for you audio engineers out there that want to mix more dry. On the rocks, which is more ambient. And then down here, natural mixers, which is just the underneath microphone, which I played for it for the second time today before I started the stream just to make sure I knew what I was doing. And oh my goodness, I got some really cool stuff. So anyway, here we go. Let me get a groove. Select original tempo first. Am I on the right screen? No, I'm not. Let me make sure I am. Yep, there we go. Original tempo. Actually, I kind of like it slow. That tempo's giving me anxiety right now. I don't know if it's because my AG1 drink plus coffee's hit me at the same time or if it's because I'm live, but I'll be in the groove pretty soon and we'll chill out and get some work done. So anyway, I just have a backbeat, bass beat groove. I didn't even really search for anything. I just need a drummer giving me a decent pocket. So this snare drum that's here by default, it's pretty ringy. In this kit, which is the default Superior Drummer kit, it's a pretty low dynamic vibe. What might I need from my right ear? Yeah, I'm not hearing perfect stereo today. My right ear's out a little bit, so hopefully that doesn't affect me. This is definitely a bright, ringy snare, and the rest of the kit's pretty muted. So what you might do, this part is not premeditated, so we're gonna find problems and then solve the problems with one-shots. But since that snare is already ringing and it has a note, maybe I want to back it up with a transient, a heavier transient instead of more of a ring. You can go both ways, right? So over here in the one-shots, maybe I want something neat because I want this snare to still be my primary tone. That sucker's loud. If I turn the gain down there, that's definitely, we're gonna have to deal with it for a minute, guys. I'm not listening to the ring, I'm listening to that impact. It's got a pretty heavy impact. So here's where we start learning about Superior Drummer's capability before we start listening to the one-shots and the snares. You want to get your samples. You can go to add instrument and import audio file, and it makes you navigate and do all this stuff. What I do is I want to get ADSR or just a finder of a folder open next to Superior so you can just drag and drop, okay? But the import dialog box is right here, okay? I want to start working with this basic pop neat sample, and if I grab it and drag it over, you can see I'm carrying around that wave file, and it's highlighting different drums. Now, don't fear. Doesn't matter what drum you drop it on, you're going to be presented with a dialog box to completely change where and what you want to do with that audio sample, okay? But in this case, I'm going to drop it on the snare, but like I said, it doesn't matter if you drop it on the cymbal, whatever, you can change it. So I'll drop it here, and we get this dialog box, and this is an important thing. Do we want to add a stack? That's Toontrack Superior Drummer's lingo for blending a snare. You want to use Superior snare, but you want to use the one-shot snare at the same time combined? Or do you want to just replace the snare drum? Let's do that first, actually. If you remember earlier, I was talking about, you know, we can blend stuff, we can replace stuff, or we can do a hybrid and only use a snare drum for certain parts. Let's do the replace first, since that's more basic, more straightforward, and let's start simple. So instead of blending, sorry to change my course here, I'm going to replace the sound of this snare, let's hear it, with this snare right here. Now, do I want that snare? Now, let's go to bartender specials. Hang tight, guys. Sorry, it's loud. I could have done better pre-production, but I didn't. Let's use that Stuart Scott one that he was mentioning in the interview. And instead of add stack, because I'm not looking to blend, I just want to replace. I'll hit replace, hit import. How often do I replace? All right. It's actually not the majority of the time. I usually like to blend. When I do really loud, dynamic, hard rock or metal, or if I'm doing something more electronic or hip hop, I do replace a lot. I don't want the Toontrack snare anymore. I want my one-shot sound, because that style of music is usually balls to the wall when it comes to hard rock and metal. If it's a high dynamic, loud dynamic music, it's just guy punching that snare the whole song. So no problem, I'll put it in there. Or when it comes to, you know, EDM or hip hop and all that stuff, it's just traditional that you hear one shots. You're not hearing particular articulations or different velocities give you different tones. So I do use it a lot, and that's what we just did now. Now, this one shot I just brought over here, it's going to be super loud. So don't let that first impression when I hit play go, oh, that doesn't work. You got to do a real quick mix. And in Superior Drummer, when you have the instrument selected, you can turn it down right here. So here's what your first impression might be, and here's what you do to blend it before you judge it. Let's check it out. I'm having a different experience because I'm in my in-ear monitors instead of in my studio monitors, but that sounds prominent right there. Now, that doesn't work for me though. I'm using the flagship VST drum product, right? That actually, the workflow worked. I ducked it down almost 20 dB, which is a hefty amount of volume. And now it's in there, and now I can go, all right, do I want to work with this or not? Let's say we like this, and let's work with it. Here's how we make it good. And I don't know, Anthony, maybe you can give me feedback later, or maybe you guys in the chat can give me feedback. I want to try and use my magnifier again on my operating system, and if it drives your eyes crazy and you'd rather me not use it, give me some feedback, okay? I'm going to start using it, though, especially in Superior, because all the text is really small. So I just changed the volume of this one shot. I can change the tuning. I don't know if I want to do that right now, but here's an example. I feel like tuning is way more critical when it comes to blending, because the snare you're blending with might be producing a certain note, and you don't want like a dissonant harmony just coming from a percussive instrument. But when it's playing on its own, you can just do whatever you want here. I'm going to leave the tuning alone. We might toy with it in the near future, but in case I don't, tuning's really important when you're blending, because your original snare drum might be producing an actual music note, and you don't want to, you know, have like a half step difference between notes for those that you know theory. Here's the special sauce. And if you're new to Superior Drummer, this is going to be amazing. And if you're not, you're going to be like, get over there, hurry. It's the envelope and offset, okay? You power this on and crank this open. Talked a bit on my channel about transients and decay. A transient is, you know, when the stick of the drummer actually touches the instrument, that impact, it's going to really peak at that very moment, really loud. That's the transient. And then we're going to hear that sound go away. Boom, boom. So sometimes we don't want such a harsh attack. Since we're doing a complete replacement, let's not mess with that yet. We're going to mess with it in a minute, but that's the attack. That's where the transient is, where the one shot starts, okay? More importantly is the decay, and attack's pretty universal term. I think everybody's using that. When it comes to the decay, people are just doing a lot of interchangeable terms. So if you're a beginner, decay, sustain, there's one more decay and sustain, there's one more off the top of my head, but I'm live, I'm a little jittered. People might use different terms for decay, but we can actually shorten the sample right in Superior. And oh my goodness, once you get this customization going, you can really control the snare drum big time, big time. Check it out. Oh, by the way,
Alegon's 1999.
So Alegon's happy today. What's going on, dude? Well, let me see what he wrote. I have a crazy to-do list around the house today, so I need to peel off and watch a replay. Thanks for all you do. You're awesome, Mr. Dude. Let me know how it seemed like you were going to pick up the $10 shots. Let me know how you think of that. But dude, thank you so much for coming and supporting, and you always make me feel comfortable, Scott. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. And do comment on the stream later. Let me know if you got something out of it, because we are going into EZDrummer 3 territory later, which you are a user of. Everything we're doing here in Superior, we're going to figure it out in EZDrummer 3. If I don't take too long, we're only a half hour in. So let's rock and roll. So when it comes to the envelope and offset dialogue, these little dots, I think they're called nodes. They are when it comes to automation. I'm going to call them nodes for right now. The first one is attack, and the last one is sustain. Oh, release, there it is. Release, sustain, decay, these are all interchangeable terms, or at least terms that people interchange, whether it's appropriate or not, different conversation. And the tail of that one shot that I use from Ken, the Stewart Scottish Lake, maybe it's just a hair too long, and that's why it still pops out even though it's mixed in. So check this out, Rick. Check this out. Actually, let me do something drastic so you understand what I mean. Actually, now we got a straight up, late 80s, mid 90s snare drum right there. Actually sounds pretty cool. There's not much room to work in here. So if you're on a laptop, this might be a pain in the butt. That sounds pretty slamming right there. Let me undo that. Here's the original sample. Let's see how much of the tail actually is there. That is killer control, man. That's the reason why I love, if I do one shots, I kind of ditch EZDrummer. If I'm looking to blend, I'll hop over here, or I might grab my MIDI because I worked all my pre-production in EZDrummer 3. I'll bring it over to SD3, and then I get to play with toys like this. We can still do this stuff later though, don't worry. It just takes a few extra steps. Super cool. So that sounds gated, but bring it out a hair more. Oh, that sounds pretty sick to me, actually. Very cool. So that is, I think that's a pretty elaborate example of how you just do a straight up one-shot replacement, okay? And you can do that in EZDrummer 3. In case I am in too much of a hurry to discuss it later, you can't do a blend natively, but you can do a replacement natively in EZDrummer 3, but the tuning knob is busted. Something I pointed out like 2 years ago, and it's still busted. So you got to do your tuning somehow outside of EZDrummer 3. But if your sample works just as is, you just drag it and drop it on a drum and it works, and you adjust the volume and you're already there. So you know. In Superior Drummer, complete control, superiority. Let's do some blending, and I'm not super comfortable with the default kit because it's not something I use often. Let me just select anything that sounds a little more polished up. I don't even want to embarrass myself and pronounce that. 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗏. Use the 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗏 kit. It's a little more bright for me, so let's check it out. Thunder, thank you so much for showing up. And Rocky's here, man. Rocky, thank you so much, man. You are just one of my #1 guys, man. Thank you so much for coming out. So let's do some blending, which is where I'm really passionate and something I really want to do. Okay, so instead of doing a complete replacement, which I just demonstrated, now we're going to keep the snare that's in Superior, whatever this is, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗪𝗡. No premeditation on this, I'm just going, okay? We're talking more about workflows than perfecting anything today, which is typical of my presentations live, okay? I want to keep that snare drum sound, but I want to blend it with something and blend it with a one-shot. In this case, we're using the $10 shot product, right? So I have a similar opinion about this snare. It doesn't sound the same as the last one. That is a bright note. See how, dude, everything has a note in life. It may not fall on one of the notes in the musical scale, might be a couple cents off or whatever, but everything has a note. I'm sure you love my my perfect pitchness happening. So that has some decay to it. Actually has a lot to it. I don't know. Let me just search around Ken samples for a minute and see. I wish there was a master volume in this. There's not, though. It's just a volume for individual. Master volume. No, I believe this is... Watch your ears, guys. Oh, that is a master volume. It's been a while since I used this proficiently. Great. Now I won't blow our ears off. Great. Of course, I can't see behind my own head. Let me turn it down a little more. So... another advantage of having your one-shot auditioner, this is ADSR, for example, right next to Superiors, you can kind of click on this and go, what can contribute to that? And then you can go over here and click on some stuff. Let's play with this, the impact, the transient, which I defined before, so I don't want to waste any more time talking about transients. Gosh, is that sharp, and there's a short decay. This thing has a cool, ringy, sustaining note to it, but the transient on this is more of the underneath snares compared to the top of the head giving you the transient, and just in my opinion, just going off the top of my head. So let's combine this with this. So I'm going to grab it, I'm going to drag it. You can drop it anywhere you want. I'm going to put it right over the snare. And instead of replace, which is the workflow we just did, I'm going to add stack. And I'm going to confirm it says the snare. And I'm going to choose the center articulation. And we probably don't have enough time to go crazy with all this stuff, but you might want to redrag this onto the off center, the edge, and the rim shot as well if you use those articulations in your programming or on your eDrums, okay? So I'll import that. And now here's what happens is not only do we have the snare over here on the kit, but it's also represented up here with an extra pad attached to it. This pad is Ken's, the $10 shots one shot that we just imported. If I mouse over it, you can actually see the exact name of it there. This is the crispy, neat wave. I'm going to click on it and it's going to be loud. Watch your ears for 1 second, because the first thing we're going to do is turn it down. The same rule that I just did with the replacement a few minutes ago is this is going to sound off right away because you're importing a third-party product which has a different volume. One-shots are usually normalized, as opposed to EZDrummer playing certain dynamics from a certain groove is obviously going to be quieter than something that's close to unity gain, you know? So I'm going to click on this and turn it down real quick so it doesn't blow our head off. Now, here's something that's special about Superior Drummer, especially compared to EZDrummer, is before we imported that one shot, we'd click on the snare, and here's the volume knob for that snare, excluding mixer tab workflows, okay? Get some good, solid signal flow, gain staging production done on the drums tab before you go mix your stuff later. It's a great place to be during pre-production to set your levels and stuff, okay? When I select this snare, here's my volume knob for that snare. Now, when I bring in that one shot, what's fantastic is not only on the mixer tab, but on the drums tab, I now have multiple volumes, so I can mix that one shot right here without leaving. So if here's my regular snare, here's my one shot, notice the two different sounds, and notice the volume knob in the properties panel. My one shot's at -10.6, and my snare from the 𝗪𝗘𝗖𝗟𝗑 default is at unity gain, which is 0. Unity gain is the volume that's intended to be heard at. It's a pass-through volume from the source. That's why when you crank up your volume, it doesn't say 100%. It's measured in dB, or sometimes it says 0. You go down from 0. Unity gain is the intended volume. It's a pass-through. So here's how you hear them individually, and this entire properties panel changes depending on what you have selected. So you remember the envelope and offset, which I'm super excited about. Remember this down here? You have a separate envelope and offset for your source drum, and you have a different envelope and offset for your one shot too. It's super duper, it's nuts. The amount of work you have to do in a DAW to get that. Actually, it's not a huge amount when you get used to doing it, but boy, it's right here. It's like a convenience store instead of the grocery store is what it is, comparing the two products. So I kind of like that analogy. Sometimes it's a little weird auditioning this. You can just click here, make adjustments, and click here and make adjustments. But when you click on the actual snare drum, it only fires off the one you have selected, or you select this text here. Center stack, instead of selecting an individual source drum or one shot, select center stack. Now they're both trigger at the same time. And a final note for those of you that, so newbies don't get confused, and so the elite people are like, oh yeah, go get it, Shootie, is, screensaver went off. When you play a groove from EZDrummer, or incoming MIDI comes in from your DAW or your 𝗘𝗏𝗏, it will never be one or the other. EZDrummer interprets that as its performance time, and you will always hear both at the same time. So I'll click play here. You can really hear Ken Shaulk, the $10 shots from Ken dominating here, but we haven't mixed it yet. I just turned it down so it wouldn't blow our head off, right? So even though I only have this one selected, we're hearing both because I'm playing from a MIDI file, or you're playing from an 𝗘𝗏𝗏, or your DAW is sending MIDI to 𝗪𝗘𝗧. So I thought it was good to spend a minute or two on that, because you can really be like, why am I hearing only one now and I'm hearing both later and blah, blah, blah. Well, I just gave you all the different scenarios on why you only hear one at a time, or you hear both mandatorily. Mandatorily? So I never said that before. Is that even a word? I hope so. So let's take this a little further. I want to blend this one shot with this snare. One more thing about playback is I want to play this beat, but I only want to hear one or the other while that beat's playing, and I just said you couldn't do it. But what you can do is when you have one or the other selected, you can mute them or solo them. So now let's get to work, okay? Here's the beat. I want to hear the $10 shot alone, so I'll select the other one and mute it. Now we're hearing that one shot, and it actually sounds pretty darn cool now that we can decipher the difference, but I'm going to turn it down. I remember my intention was to boost up the transient, so let's get rid of the decay or the release or the sustain of the $10 one shot. Even though it actually sounds good, I'm just looking for work so I can present to you. But it actually sounds pretty good as is, but I'm looking for work, so I'm going to mute the 𝗪𝗘𝗧 snare. I'm going to select the $10 shot snare. I'm going to engage envelope and offset. Let's get rid of the tail, so the EZDrummer snare is in charge of the tail. I just want to beef up that transient. Yeah. Let's bring back the superior snare. I'm going to mute the one-shot snare so we hear the difference. We got to check our work. You got to prove to yourself what you're hearing is what you're hearing. You want your eyes and ears to agree at the same time. If you're only using one or the other, you might be heading down a road that's hard to back out of. It might be a dead end. Whoa, that's a huge difference. I haven't done this example before. Like I said, I'm just like looking for stuff to do live. I got to get something out of this. I got to challenge myself on these streams. That's a huge difference. And I think that was a positive difference. The snare overall might be loud. Here's one thing. Let me test something because I haven't thought about this in a while. I turned down this one shot I imported to -14. If I select both center stack, so both these are highlighted, and then turn down the superior drummer snare, I believe the one shot will come down equally in volume with it. It does the math behind the scenes. So this is at -14. Let's see when I bring down the main snare if that one shot volume comes down. I'm mixing this now with the rest of the kit. You might disagree with my judgment, but my playback situation's a little off. Let me look at the one shot. Look at that, -17.4. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. So you finally got the blend that you wanted, but your overall stacked snare sound is too loud or too quiet. Select center stack, and then make this level adjustment, and then it will grab both of those and bring them down and up at the same time. I mean, it's pretty serious stuff. Pretty happy with this. You know, I kind of want a more dry snare. I don't know if I want to find one real quick though. Let me just stage a second example so I don't get lost looking for a snare real quick. Let's stage an example. Let me get rid of Ken's the $10 shots one shot. Let me right click, remove from stack. Now we just have this snare drum again, and I'm just going to get the volume back to where it was. So now we're basically back at the 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘 default. We got 40 minutes. Yeah, I think we're doing perfect actually. Here's where we are. Here's the default of this library preset. We got the snare. Let me make, for fun, this snare not ring and pretend that's the situation we came into. Let me just take down the envelope and offset.
David Oswald, $20.
Oh, David too, man. This is awesome. My chat computer is sleeping on me. Christmas shopping with the family. I'm going to see you, I don't know, am I going to see you in December or January? Either way, we're getting together pretty soon, but thank you so much for always being awesome to me, David, and showing up and coming to the stream, lighting up the chat. And thank you so much for the actual financial support, man. It's a huge deal for the amount of time I put into these productions. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Thanks, Anthony, for giving me a heads up. Maybe you actually heard me give him a shout out. So, yeah, let me know if this little magnifying feature drives you nuts or not. I'll read the chat later, but the superior drummer controls are so small. But anyway, let me make this snare drum more staccato so we can do the opposite blending that we did before. I'll enable envelope. Sounds a little gated, which wouldn't be the case if we found a nice natural superior drummer snare that had sustain, but I just don't want to waste time live searching for that example. I didn't premeditate this. Anyway, so here's our snare drum with less decay. I want to get it either some ambience, I want to get it some sustain. I don't want to give it the transient anymore. Let's say I'm happy with the transient from the snare. Now I want to get a good tail for this snare. And actually I have an example. I want to use these bartender specials. I would definitely go and use them right now, but I'm going to use that as an example in a few minutes. So let's go down to the natural mixers. These are just under snare mics, not top snare. I don't even know if they're ambient or room mics. Ken can confirm. It probably says it in the README that comes with the product. I just don't have it memorized. All right, good. Our volume's still quiet, so I won't blow your head off. These are just under snare mics. And when I heard about this, I said, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to give it a shot. I've tried this just twice, just spending like 2 minutes on it, and it's a huge difference. So these are going to sound wiry because there's wires under the snares, and there's lots of those snares rub against the bottom head. That's where you get the maraca sound from a snare drum. That derives from the underneath. So there's only a mic under there. And when you only hear that mic, it's probably going to sound pretty harsh. But remember, we're blending, and this is like, I don't know, after this stream, I'm going to spend a bit more time on this because I feel like this is a great way to get your custom snare sound. I feel like I preached that earlier about, you know, when you use all these libraries that everyone else is using, everyone's using the same thing as good as it sounds. Here's a great way to get your own custom drum tone. So I like this. Let me just find one that my ears can tolerate. Holy ring. Let me hear this snare. All right. It's like looking behind the scenes or watching behind the scenes of a movie set. It's like, this is not what the movie looks like. But then the movie comes out and you're like, oh, this looks great. You know, that's where we are. We're behind the scenes right now. Rattlesnake's cool. That's got some decay. Oh, this is cool too. Keep in mind, when I'm hearing these, I already have a plan for them. So when I say that's cool, it's because I kind of understand what it's about, the job it's about to be assigned, you know? So, and maybe you will too if you're new to this and you're about to see what I do to it. Then you'll be like, oh, that's what Sean was thinking, you know? That's drastic. Let's do something drastic because we have all these property panel controls to work with. We can really control this. Now, I've got a hold of, I've started clicking and dragging this one shot. I'm going to drop it on this snare. I'm going to add the stack, not replace the snare, and not add a new instrument. Snare, center, that's what I want. It's going to sound really loud and off when I hit it for the first time because we have a unity gain normalized sample mixing with a snare drum that's already been mixed into this kit, right? Oh, sorry if you're wearing headphones. Let me bring it down 15 dB. Yeah, now let's hear this beat. Now, I mean, that sounds awful unless Metallica's reinventing itself, but we haven't tweaked it yet. So let me get a more acceptable level. I'm still going to leave it a little loud because I still want to use it, but let me get a little more acceptable level, and then we're going to toy with the envelope, and we're going to see what we can do with this. Here we go. Cool. Engage, envelope, and offset. Now this time I'm not going after the release. I might, but that's not my priority. My priority is the attack where that transient of that one shot I imported, I want to duck that guy down. The first node is where the attack is, and you just grab it and you slide it to the right. And you're going to need a decent mouse with sense, you know, it's going to be hard to do on a trackpad. But you can also double click here and adjust and put input in here if you have to. Let me push it all the way over just to prove to you we can just get rid of that sample there and it's gone. So that also might be, you know, something that's important to note in case you don't hear anything. Here's the sample of the snare trying to climb up to where you can hear it and it's not making it. I'm going to start dragging it back until we start getting just the tail, just the sustain, just the release back. I don't want the transient. Use your ears. Here we go. I'm going to solo up. Oh, Let me hit pause. Listen. It sounds weird, man. It's like a ghost. Like there's no beginning. There's no head on this dragon, but the rest of the dragon's still there. It's pretty cool. I have only that one shot with the head cut off. I just brought the volume down. Now I'm going to start pushing the volume up slowly. See if I can get something more natural and smooth sounding. Remember, throughout this entire video, we don't have backing music, so we can really push these volumes up a lot more than I have, because the rest of the music's going to cover up all this blending we're doing. So if you actually have a mix-up doing this, you're probably going to be using more aggressive volumes than I am. But since we only hear drums, like, we're really sensitive to what we hear. Like already, that's pretty cool right there. And I think the tail's a little too long to mix with the rest of this kit, so I'm going to bring the tail back just a little bit, because that tail's so long, it doesn't all need to be there. I kind of like that the tail doesn't go so long that it's there for the next backbeat snare. I want it to end before the next backbeat snare. And that's not even a rule for me, that's just how I'm thinking at this moment. It kind of does that already, but let me do something drastic. You got to hear one side before you know the other's good, okay? So there's the gate closing sound. Can actually toy with the curve a little bit. Ooh, I didn't even want to cover that today, but that actually sounds good right there. Now, there's a little psychology, I don't know the right word. There's some mental action going on when you hear a certain sound for a long time. When I hear that, that's a new thing, and I'm like, oh, is that too much? It's like when, let's say you have Coke and you have Pepsi, and you drink Coke all day, but at the end of the night you have one Pepsi, you're gonna be like, that Pepsi does not taste good. Or vice versa, you drink Pepsi all day and you have one Coke at the end of the day, you're like, I don't like Coke. In this case, adding that new one-shot sound is kind of like, my ears get a little bit defensive. Like, that's a new sound, and visually it doesn't belong there. I'm adding something, I'm breaking the tune track recipe. But now that I've been hearing it for this long, watch what happens when I mute it. It's gonna be like, where'd it go? Like, now it sounds empty. So this is like a psychological thing you have to keep in mind when you play with details like this. Check it out. I'm gonna mute the one shot I imported. It's crazy how much I turned down that one shot. A little goes a long way. It's at negative 30 dB right now. But now that snare sounds super dry, even though it's in a nice reflective room, right? That's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, I don't want to dive into timing right now, but when you pull the transient out of your one shot, it might feel like it's like a delayed reverb, like a plate reverb where it has a pre-delay. Your one shot might start sounding like an echo. There's an offset feature right here where you can kind of make now that we've tweaked our attack and our decay to where we want it, the timing of the overall product you might want to shift back or forward so it makes more sense to your ears, okay? So we could move the whole timing back and forth with this. But at this point, we're getting into some really sensitive scientific stuff, but that's fantastic, that feature right there. So if you're hearing like a hiccup with your one shot because you pulled so much attack out of it, use that offset and start pushing around your final product in time to get it to glue back together. Of course, I gotta go to the bathroom already, but let me do my last example. And I made a file like 2 weeks ago, that I decided not to use. I think I'm just going to use it right now, just so we hear something different. Superior 3 Aussie metal, and this drum MIDI is from the 𝗪𝗔𝗓𝗪 drummer, who's an amazing dude. His name's Mark or something like that. If you know his name, put it in the chat. I forget what his name is. They played at the 2024 Olympics, 𝗪𝗔𝗓𝗪. Good for them for the exposure. Anyway, here's the more produced, solid sounding preset. And if you look, this is the default of Aussie rock, and there's already stacks in here. That's how the superior drummer, people who, whether it's whoever at TuneTrack or whoever made the product, one of the two of them made this preset, and they're already using stacks. And if you noticed what I told you before in that import dialog box, you can add stacks to your other articulations as well, which is important if you're using all those other articulations, to add the same one shot to those other articulations, except maybe mix them a little differently so it sounds authentic. But that's extra credit, what I spieled out, just to try and prevent some follow-up questions. Let's listen to this real quick, just so we have an idea what this sounds like. Way louder preset. We have higher velocity MIDI. And I'm sure the mix in general is just a little louder. Here's the last way I use one-shots, at least when it comes to, EZDrummer 3 or Superior Drummer 3, and I'm doing more analog music, like humans are in the room, or I'm writing drums for analog musicians, not just doing EDM stuff. Here's what I like to do. I don't really have a good example. How am I going to get myself out of this? Anyway, that's the vibe of what we're listening to. What I do sometimes is I'll use a one-shot, but I won't blend it with the snare the way we just blended it. I'll add it as its own instrument, and then I'll add that new snare instrument just to particular parts of the song. And what I really wanted was a halftime feel thing, but this was on a project I abandoned. I think everything's regular time. Yeah, all right, this isn't gonna sound perfect, but I'm gonna halftime feel this beat, even though it's not meant to be heard played at twice as slow. But let me just halftime this. Let's hear it. Yeah, you hear little flams in there. That's not Mario. I think Mario is that dude's name. There's little flams coming out of this beat that sound like mistakes. That's because we're playing it, we cut the tempo in half. So try to ignore the performance. In this purple chorus block, we have regular time. You hear the snare hit the 2 and the 4 in the measure. And now in this green beat that I just half-timed, we only hear the snare on the 3. Let's listen and confirm. Now, when you halftime feel stuff, you introduce space into the music, especially when it comes to the snare drum. Usually, this is just a typical situation, not everybody's situation. And when you start separating those snares and only hear them half as long, you leave a lot of space to introduce effects, things to noodle with, right? So what I like to do, this is definitely a trick I use on a regular basis, and I've been doing it for decades, okay? I like to crank up reverb effects or ambient microphones, or I add one-shots with effects on them when I hear halftime feels, because it's a great time, supposedly whatever the music sounds like to this, I don't know, we haven't written it. It's a great time to open up and let everything breathe and be a little heavier when it comes to frequencies, because now that we're playing this slow, we have time to absorb all these frequencies happening. When the band's up and running, there's just no space to say, here's how big my bass sounds, here's how long the snare decays. It just sounds like a mess. Imagine a speed metal band playing in the Grand Canyon. That's going to sound like garbage. You want to hear a speed metal band in a small club so you can hear what they're doing. But a ballad from Pink Floyd, that you might want to hear in a canyon. You see what I'm saying? So when these halftime feel things come up, people are playing slower. It's a great time to add ambience, effects, delays, or in this case, a really wet one shot. And I don't know what one shot I want to use. I have no affiliation with, legal affiliation with Ken and with $10 one-shots. I'm just deciding to do this. So hence why I'm not completely rehearsed. We're just checking it out together. I toyed with it for a few minutes, a couple of times the past 2 weeks. So, but I want something wet. And so let's go to bartender specials, because the neat is probably the most dry stuff. On the Rocks is dry, but with some ambience. Refer to the interview at the beginning of this video or the documentation that comes with it to confirm. Here's your undersnare stuff, and the bartender specials should be a little more wet. And Danger Zone has a good decay. I don't know if that's a plate verb or a room verb, but yeah, hallway monitor. Maybe I'll use this. That sounds like some pre-delayed plate reverb. And plate reverb, I'll just use this. Plate reverb and drums, that's my crutch. And I love it. And when I hear it, I go, yeah, I can work with that. So you don't have to agree with me. I'm just expressing to you my habits. Now, here we go. I do not want to add a stack to the snare drum. I do not want to replace the snare drum. I want to add a brand new snare drum that I can play as its own instrument. Oh, and it's not going to replace. Oh, let me go add instrument. And here, just by default, it says, are you adding a new kick? This is just like a family to assign it to. It really doesn't matter what you select here, but I'm going to select snare just so the image looks recognizable. Import snare. Look, brand new instruments on the left, stacks, blending stacks to the right. That's how Superior organizes stuff. Let's see what time it is. All right. Here's that new snare. It's a bit loud. Check this out. Oh, on the mixer, I could rename the snare. X user mic. I'll just call it 10 shots. I can adjust its volume here, or I can adjust its volume on the drums tab here, and those are two completely different volumes. There's gain staging happening. One volume will affect the other and vice versa. You don't want to turn stuff up too loud so where it distorts here, but turn it down on the mixer. That's very bad. Some extra credit. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And now watch when we go to the grid editor, which I'm going to select. This is the groove that I have timed. I want to launch that in the grid editor. That's P on the keyboard. That's for Superior Drummer. Actually, I want to do this differently because I don't feel like troubleshooting something. Let's use edit play style instead. All the notes that are happening on the snare, I want to copy those notes. Now I want to paste those notes onto my new snare drum, which is up here. And it's not even highlighted because it's not playing yet. Right click, paste MIDI, all. Actually, let's just paste the snare. I'm not sure, I haven't done this in a while. Now these snares should play together only for this beat I have highlighted.
Corey F, $20.
Dang, that is cool. Corey, thank you so much. An EZDrummer, I wanted to simulate a drum being hit with two sticks at the same time. Is stacks good for that? In grid editor, can a drum be duplicated to achieve this side note? I can. Oh, dude, just you know what? Here, do a flam. So whether you're an Easy or Superior, find your snare drum. Let me zoom into it. That snare's not even on the grid. Let me find a better hit over here. Thank you so much for the donation, man. Here's a single snare drum right here, and you want it to sound like the drummer's coming down with two hands. It's impossible for him to mathematically do both of those sticks at the same time. So turn snap off. Snap is a button in EZDrummer somewhere right in the middle right here. It'll be obvious. Grab your pencil tool, draw a snare in anywhere, zoom in as far as you can. This is as far as I can zoom in, and then use your arrow tool and drag these snares right next to each other, but not on top of each other. And then open up your velocity panel, which is in the same location in EZDrummer, and make these a different velocity. There's reasons to make the first one quieter and the second one louder, or vice versa. It really just depends on the style and feel, but make one of those quieter than the other, and then you'll have what's called a flam, and done. Got that one in the bag. And thank you so much, Corey, for the donation, man. It's really nice of you. I appreciate that. I got a long curriculum, so I want to get back to where I was. Now these two drums are playing together, but only for this section. Let me get a quick mix going real quick. Whew, that's long. I changed the tuning for some reason. And it might seem really loud because the transient's hitting so hard, so envelope's been activated. Let's try and clip off the attack real quick. All right. Great. I don't want to spend too long on this because time's running out, but I would continue to tweak over there until it's perfect. But check this out. Here's my regular time groove going into this halftime groove, and only that halftime groove has my new added instrument snare, which I tweaked just a little bit and barely mixed, but you get the idea. You spend 1 or 2 minutes on that and you can get it to really settle, but check out the difference. Yeah. And that's just such a trick for me. Whenever I go to halftime feel, at least with hard rock and metal, I want to put something in that space because now that the snare's happening half as much, there's room to breathe. So I'm just going to go to the boys' room for just a couple seconds, and then we're going to recreate everything I did in EZDrummer 3, except I'm going to trailblaze because I got about 20 minutes left. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Pardon the interruption, but it had to happen or I would have just been like, oh my God. Rick, what's up, dude? Welcome, man. I don't have time to go down chat because I'm about to trailblaze, but I will read my chat probably in the next 24 to 48 hours when I take the time to do chapter markers. I always read the chat. I'm always looking for constructive criticism, so put it right in the chat. I've got thick skin at this point, and I'm always looking to better myself. Good, Ken's still here, and he's explaining it is based reverb. Great. Sean knows what he's talking about. Gong, long time, man. Haven't seen you in a bit. Welcome. And if anyone else who I missed, who's Jim? Jim, what's up, dude? Rocking. All right. I don't want to waste time here because I got a Trailblaze right now. I think it's not my preference, but I'm going to use Pro Tools since it's the DAW I know the most and also dislike the most. But I know how to get around pretty fast in it. So now we're going to recreate everything we just did in Superior Drummer 3. If I have enough time, we'll see how fast I move. You guys ready to see Shootie just go blah, 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 blah? Here we go. Oh, yeah. My course will be $2 off at the end of this stream, unless I swear again. So go over to shootieschool.com and pick up my drums tab course if you haven't yet. It's about getting your drum tone on the drums tab and how the drums tab relates to the mixer tab, plus a bunch of other stuff, man. Plus a bunch of other stuff. Let me just mute this. All right, Control-Shift-N, 1, new. This doesn't work as good as it used to. Stereo track, instrument track, EZDrummer. Actually, I want 2 of those. All right. We need 2 instances of EZDrummer to blend snare. Not to add a one-shot snare, but to blend 2 snares together, okay? So let me just get that up. Tune track. To have the... Here we go. Let's see, EZDrummer. Here we go. I'm going to give it a second to load up instead of overworking my computer. Let this load up. We'll get the second instance in. And I'm not going to search around for tones or anything like that. We're going to have to use our imagination. Just like I disclaimed before, you know, this is about workflow, not about getting the perfect mix. You know, I'm just trying to teach you the method. You get your mix, okay? I have 2 instances of EZDrummer. Let's launch one. Oh, let's do the first thing first. Of course, Pro Tools isn't going to cooperate as much. It does. All right, there we go. Let's bartender specials. Oh, sometimes ADSR, the audio driver, gets upset when you launch a DAW, so I got to relaunch ADSR, steal that driver back, see if it works now. Yep. Know your computer intimately, people, so you can work fast. All right, and I want a wetter sound because I am doing a complete snare replacement. Let's use anger management. Ken, is that a Metallica reference? There's a bong to that. Let me launch EZDrummer and let me shrink this guy. Of course, it's behind my head. I can't see it. Here we go. So if you just want to replace a one-shot, I would suggest, if you know how to route out EZDrummer and you're really experienced in your DAW, you can totally manipulate it later. Otherwise, make sure that one shot sounds the way you want it before you bring it in. Here's anger management. I'll drag it over the snare drum. I'll release. Now I've replaced EZDrummer 3's snare drum with my one shot. Sorry about that. I felt it too. Apologies. Oh, that sucker's loud. Pro Tools is loud. Let me get a master fader real quick. I don't know why my key commands don't work anymore. It's probably because I'm using an older version of Pro Tools. I haven't upgraded for a couple of years at this point. So let me just turn down my master fader. Sorry about the volume there, folks, if that bit you in the ears. My fault. So now we've done complete snare replacement, but the tuning doesn't work. And I want you to use your ears. And this has to be a fault of EZDrummer. If I turn it up, I hear a pitch adjustment, right? But if you listen to the sound as a whole, the original non-pitch adjustment sound is still there. Totally. So, in my opinion, you cannot adjust tuning of imported audio files into EZDrummer. I think they should just get rid of that tuning knob when you bring an audio file in here, because I don't want anyone to adjust that and thinking it's working perfectly. It's not. It's only tuning up. It's literally blending your source one shot with a tuned up or tuned down one shot. So I think that's broken. But anyway, if that sample sounds good as is, great. You're there. You hop over in the mixer tab and here's your one shot right here, which you can mix, and you can mix it here. So let me reload this preset. That was method 1. We got 2 more methods, and be running a little bit late. It's good to see that we held on to the majority of viewers today. Someone's interested in this. Thanks for sticking around, and anyone who's lighting up chat. And unless you want to see me go away, hit like and hit subscribe. It's like, only 5% of users do that or something like that on my videos. So I appreciate the support. Now, I have 2 instances of EZDrummer. Oh, I just want this full screen. 2 instances of EZDrummer. Here's the first one, which is going to be the one that has the MIDI in it. So I'll grab a groove. I'll drag it down here, whatever groove this is. Let's tolerate that groove. It's a fine groove. It's a very fine groove. Now I want the MIDI from this EZDrummer instance to leave this instance of EZDrummer and go to this instance of EZDrummer, which has no MIDI in it. Just to show you a little bit better visually, this is like a pin knob light. Here's 2 versions of EZ. One has MIDI, one doesn't. If I hit play, only one of them plays. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to route the MIDI because we'd be starting a whole new stream all over again. But here is a video that will teach you how to do it in the majority of DAWs out there, so you have not been left behind. You're going to watch this video later. And I don't demonstrate this in EZDrummer. I demonstrate it in EZKeys. It's the same exact workflow, okay? Routing MIDI from EZDrummer to EZDrummer, okay? Do I care about spelling right now? No. So I'm going to do it real quick in Pro Tools, but how you do it in your DAW is definitely going to be different. A lot of DAWs do this in a very unique manner. But what you do in every DAW is you go to your source EZDrummer plugin with the MIDI in it. I'll go to Settings, General, and this is tiny. My magnifier is not working. Pro Tools not let me do the magnifier key command, so I apologize for that. MIDI out, check this box. After I check this box, all MIDI that this song track from this instance of EZDrummer reads and generates, it will spit it out. Now we have to make this version of EZDrummer 3 ready to receive it. And you don't do that in this version of EZDrummer 3. You do it in your DAW. Here's the second instance track this version of EZDrummer 3 is in. And this isn't the input I want. I got to reveal the, like I said, every single DAW is different. Here's my MIDI input, and I will receive from EZDrummer 3's output. So now this guy's spitting MIDI out, and now this guy knows to receive it. You got to record and enable your track in Pro Tools at least. And now let's watch both of these. Actually, let me unload this kit. For the first time, I'll prevent a volume spike. Under Drum Kits, go to Empty Kit. When I hit play here, we should see this drum kit try and play. Maybe that's not how it works. Let me load a snare in. Yep. See how this snare drum's also working when I hit play here? It's because this MIDI is being sent over to here. Watch the video I just put in chat. I'll put it in the description as well for those of you that are coming late to the stream and watch the restream. Now I'm hearing 2 of the same snare drum, which is bad. There's a lot of phasing happening. But now I can grab the one shot I want. At this point, I'm just trailblazing, so popcorn, yeah. Now popcorn's in there, right? Hear how that's working? And it's too loud, so I can adjust the volume of this snare drum here, or I could do it on the mixer tab. Either way, this entire instance of EZDrummer only exists for this one-shot snare, and this version of EZDrummer is telling this one when to play. Now we're blending one-shots, okay? But wait a minute, it's not working like Superior. Superior has all that other good stuff. Hopefully I can nip this in the butt. This version of EZDrummer 3 is the source. This version of EZDrummer 3 has the one-shot snare, okay? So we're not working in the plugin interfaces anymore. I just want to make sure you understand which one's which. Now we can add effects here. Now, your DAW is probably going to have something named transient in one way, shape, or form. And if it's not named transient, there's a plugin in there that controls transients, right? Oh boy, it's been a long time. Please be something. At least it's in alphabetical order. TTT. Oh, good. Transient. Look. Remember those keywords I was talking about? Attack, sustain? Here they are. Look, this version of EZDrummer only has the $10 shots, one shot that I brought in. We can adjust the attack. I peeled the attack right off that. Now we just have the decay, right? Or we can make it hit harder and exaggerate the attack. That's just what this particular plugin uses. If you're in Pro Tools, you probably have this plugin. This is an old version of Pro Tools. Whatever DAW you're using, it probably has some sort of transient shaper in there, especially Ableton, for example, which is more geared towards electronic musicians. And we have sustain too, so. Look, now we only have like a knocking attack, or we can do opposite and just have some sustain. And if you felt like giving more responsibility to this plugin, since it's right there, you could also mix it, right? Yeah, not bad, right? You know, and I think we did EQ in Superior today. We'll just throw an EQ on it. The EQ I use is an expensive EQ, but as long as you have just a, let's see what time it is. Oh boy. All right, it's supposed to be ending in 60 seconds, so let me fly through this. You know, if you want to isolate some sort of ring, I don't really have a ring left to isolate, but I could just kind of artificially create one maybe. Not a ring I would go for. Or opposite, maybe I don't like that frequency, I'll just bump it out, right? So now we're controlling this. Look, transient shaper plus EQ equals doing what Superior Drummer can do, and that rhymed. That was not scripted. And the last thing I said was, how do we get a one shot just for a certain part of the song? I mean, it's pretty darn easy. Let me disable. Oh my gosh, there's multiple ways to do it. Oh. You could go into the, I'm just going to speak it so we can get out of here. You could go into, first of all, this second version of EZDrummer 3 only has a snare. So this version of EZDrummer 3 plays that snare during the certain part of your song. Hopefully you watched this whole video and you know what I'm talking about right now, where I like to add extra snares to halftime feels or more ambient sections of the song. So you could literally, if your song's totally done, you could just copy the MIDI out of one instance and drag it to the next. And that would be the best beginner way to do it because, come on, nope. There's a really good chance your computer will do this. I don't want to deal with OS permissions right now. I could also hit, yeah, I'm not launched as administrator. Anyway, the absolute majority of the time you could drag the MIDI from here to here. And since there's only a snare drum loaded up in here, only the snare will play. So that's how you do that. Another way is you could probably MIDI learn this snare drum to be a different note. Yeah, I'm getting into something that I don't have time to. But I did give one solution, so we did cover everything that Superior Drummer 3 can do in EZDrummer 3 as long as you got some DAW chops. So, man, I'm surprised I made it out here almost on time. The stream should be over 2 minutes ago, but I'm kind of doing my running typically late thing. So, I don't know. Did today go all right there, Anthony? You think you would be the best judge of anybody? And hopefully you don't just tell me what I hear, but I feel like I made through a good, solid, complete lesson here. Corey, thanks again. I had a few donations today, but most people donated before they left. Everybody donated before they left, except for Dirk. So thank you, Dirk. I appreciate it. And thank you, Corey.
Today went really, really well.
Awesome. It is a Lars reference. Thank you, Anthony. Did Metallica do a song in a movie, Mission Impossible? No, that's definitely not what I know. I like their Master Puppets album. All right, we're just talking about Metallica now, which it's hard for me to downplay that, man. They're one of the reasons why I am who I am growing up to listening to them. Ken, I'm glad you stuck around, man. Yeah, my pleasure. $10 shots. Dude, it's a let me get some music. It's a well-priced product, and if you're not into one-shots yet, that is the perfect price to start getting into one-shots. And that's just how Shootie School uses them with TuneTrack, and I'm quite sophisticated compared to the average person when it comes to TuneTrack stuff, but one-shots is a drag and drop to just about many programs on the average music producer's computer. You don't need TuneTrack stuff. There's probably much easier workflows with them. Man, off the top of my head, there's a good free program. I don't want to get into something brand new at the end of the stream, but there's plenty of free one-shot software out there, not that produce the sounds, but the program that accepts the sounds and plays them back for you if you're not into TuneTrack. But my market is TuneTrack. Most people here are doing TuneTrack. Yeah, I mean, Ken, hopefully I did a sensible stream. I felt like I was just running a marathon, but it wasn't just on pavement, man. It was up a mountain. It was swimming through mud, ducking under the barbed wire. So hopefully I completed the course today. Anthony, thank you so much for your help today, man. It's always so much better when I know you're here. And everybody who lighted up chat, everybody who commented in chat, it's a big help. Anyone who just simply hits the like button. If you're always watching my stuff, you haven't hit subscribe yet, I mean, I've got no problem with you, but, you value me, why not just click on that button, okay? So it's time for Shootie to go to his day job. Oh, I'm about to go over to shootieschool.com, and I'm going to discount my course $2. That's my work alarm right there, actually. Actually, I got to go make some money that puts food in the fridge. So my gratitude is here. I feel great. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Peace.